Welcome to episode 4 of the Learn to Play series for Kingdoms Forlorn. This episode will guide you through the entire Clash phase. We'll continue using the scripted tutorial from the Learn to Play book. Before we begin, let's take a moment to go over how clashes work in practice. They're fought in a sequence of alternating monster and knight rounds, with the monsters usually going first. During each monster round, your enemies will perform attacks against you. Each activation token signifies one attack, in this case, one AI and one signature. During the knight round, each knight and each squire will take their turn, in any order, and perform one movement action and one combat action. In a clash, squires are considered knights unless specifically stated otherwise. It's a lot of information to take in, but don't worry. We'll explain everything in detail as we go. So let's begin. The monster round is first. We need to resolve all monster activations. Each monster with an activation token performs an attack based on the token type, either an AI or a signature. We start from number 1, so let's draw an AI 1 card for mob number 1. In the previous episode, we put the rusted slash card on top of the deck. Now you know why. Each AI card has a card level, a number of evasion dice, an evasion difficulty, targeting instructions, move and attack instructions, an after-attack effect, and an attack type. Many AI cards also have a window of opportunity, denoted by the pointing finger symbol. You don't need to memorize everything yet. We'll explain it one by one. The first thing we need to do is establish who the target is. Let's read the targeting section. Well, it looks like both Kara and Rayloff are in front of and 3 spaces away from Mob 1. However, since Kara has the priority target token, she becomes the target of the attack. This is exactly how the priority target works. It's a tiebreaker. If Kara didn't have it, we could decide who the target is ourselves. Since we already have the target established, there's no need to resolve the second targeting line. Now, since the card says move and attack, the mob must first move toward Kara through the shortest possible path, using cardinal movement. It must be adjacent to the target before it can strike. 2 miniatures are considered adjacent to each other if they share at least one space edge together like this. Kara must now attempt to evade the attack. In this game, monsters don't roll to hit. It's the knights that must successfully evade. Look at the number inside the black die symbol. This is the number of dice you have to roll when attacked. 1 die is 1 hit. The number right below it is how high you must roll on each die to evade. In this case, it's 8 or higher. Each evasion die can be re-rolled 1 time with the cost of 1 heat. For the sake of learning, let's assume Kara was hit once. Now, we must resolve attack consequences, which say to lose 1 vigor for each hit. Note the red coffin symbol on the card. Whenever you see it among attack effects, you must resolve a peril check. To do that, consult your Knight's Peril Arc card and draw a Mortis card of the severity corresponding to your current vigor. In this case, it's Minor Mortis, so let's draw the top card from the Mortis deck now. In the previous episode, we stacked Vision of the Growl on top of that deck. This is the card we'll be resolving now. Raise Kara's Passion on the track by 1, then put the drawn card on the bottom of the deck. That was the rare case of a positive Mortis card. Most of them are negative. The lower your vigor, the more extreme these effects will be, both positive and negative. Lastly, the mob performs its after-attack effect. In this case, it performs Gang Up 3. Let's slow down here for a moment. Gang Up is a keyword, which means it's a common rule used by more than one game element. To check what a given keyword does, look for it on the keyword list. For this Learn to Play adventure, we attached a smaller keyword list on page 41, while the full list with all the keywords is on page 80 of the rulebook. Let's resolve this one together. So, according to the keyword instructions, the mob must first move adjacent to its target. We don't have to do that since the mob is already adjacent to Kara. Next, we have to move Kara the remaining number of spaces, in this case 3, toward another closest monster. As you can see, the closest mob to Kara is number 3. We also need to move along the shortest possible path in a zigzag pattern. We can resolve this movement in 2 ways, like this or like this. Now, we need to move the source adjacent to the target. Note that the mob is not moving through the same path as Kara. We have to determine the shortest possible path again, then move in a zigzag pattern. Just as with Kara, this movement can be resolved in 2 ways, but the mob will always end up on the same space. Make sure you resolve this keyword the same way as we did on the screen. Now that we're finished resolving the after attack effect, let's flip the activation token to its spent side and move it to the next mob without an activation token. In this case, it's mob number 3. Lastly, place the resolved AI card face up in an AI discard pile. Alright, that was the first activation. Now, we must repeat this for mob number 2. Since it has the signature activation token, take the / signature card and resolve it. Just as before, first we determine the target. Let's check who is the closest now. As you can see, because of the gang up earlier, the mob's path to Kara got pretty long, so the closest target is now a squire. Since the card says move and attack, let's move mob number 2 adjacent to Ralof now. This is where things get different. Unlike knights, squires do not roll dice for evasion. Instead, they draw the top card from the metal deck and check the hits evaded portion of the card. Let's do that now. This number tells you how many hits the squire has managed to evade. Conversely, vigor loss for squires is calculated the same as for knights. You simply lower the cube and the vigor track the specified amount of spaces. For the sake of learning, let's assume you still lost 1 vigor to see how squires tackle peril checks. The simple answer is they mostly don't. Squires don't draw mortis cards even if there is a peril check symbol on the card, unless their vigor drops to 0 or below. In those cases, they draw a judicium card to check whether they live or die. Squires also don't increase their heat limit. It stays the same throughout the clash. Next, let's perform the after attack effect. It's gang up 3, just like previously. This time around it will be much simpler. The closest mob is clearly number 1, so let's move Ralof 2 spaces. The attacking mob doesn't need to move at all since it's already adjacent to the target. Once you've finished resolving /, place the card back in its place. Signature and routine cards never land in the AI discard pile. Lastly, flip the signature activation token and move it to mob number 4. At the start of the next monster round, all spent activation tokens will become readied again. This is it for the monster round. Now we'll proceed to the knight round. During the knight round, all players are free to take their turns in any order. Each knight has 1 movement action and 1 combat action. Now we can decide what to do. Let's have Fleischritter go first. A knight turn starts with the refresh step, which includes heat refresh and card refresh. To resolve it, you lower your current heat by your knight's heat refresh rate. Card refresh returns that amount of technique cards from the cooldown area to your hand, and moves all cards from delay to the cooldown area. Since squires don't have technique cards, they only refresh heat. Once we're done refreshing cards, we can now move on to the attack part. Since Fleischritter is equipped with a melee weapon, the knives, he must move adjacent to an enemy to attack. Let's resolve the movement action first. With a speed of 4, Fleischritter may move up to 4 spaces in cardinal directions. Note that knights cannot move diagonally. Now let's declare the destination, then move space by space. We cannot pass through obstacles, other figures, or the same space twice. Before the actual attack, let's briefly mention knight tokens. You leave these special tokens in the knight pool to help the next attacker. Tokens can be gained through weapon abilities, technique cards, heroic arcs, and other effects. All knight tokens are discarded from the knight pool after the next attack, whether used or not. There are 2 basic knight tokens: Opening, which adds +1 to the result of each attack die, and Break, which converts 1 potential symbol on a power die into 1 power. Don't worry, this will all start making sense in a moment. Now it's time to declare the weapon. In this case, we can only use the knives and perform the combat action. Each time you perform the combat action, the first thing to do is raise your passion by 1. Let's do that for Fleischritter now. Passion unlocks abilities from a knight's heroic arc, and essentially makes the knight stronger over time. Make sure you always remember to raise it. Next, let's take a closer look at knives, and check how many attack dice Fleischritter may roll. Knives normally have 1 attack die, but if used two-handed, they grant 2 dice. Since they are one-handed by default, and Fleischritter has his other hand free, let's declare using that effect now. The red power die symbol on the card denotes how many power dice you roll per each successful hit. In this case, it's 1 red die. Now let's refer to the monster sheet for a moment. At level 1, the Ironcast Dead have a 2-hit value of 5+. This means that we have to roll 5 or more on the attack roll to score a hit. Since this is a tutorial round, we'll give you a fixed result this time. Let's say you rolled a 3 on each die. That in itself isn't enough to hit, but notice that there are 2 opening tokens in the knight pool. As we mentioned before, each opening token in the knight pool adds +1 to the result of each attack die rolled during an attack roll. That means we have enough to score a hit on both dice. Immediately after you hit, it's time for the first ability window. If you have any abilities that trigger during this window, like in this case, Fleischritter's pushback from his heroic arc, now is the time to use them. We can use pushback now to push the mob 1 space. There are 2 ability windows in a knight turn, called the first and the second. Effects will specifically tell you in which window they can be used. Note that the pushback we used comes together with a break token. Leaving tokens happens by default during the second ability window, so we will resolve the rest of this effect later. Since we hit the mob, it's time to reveal its BP card. According to our earlier preparations, it should be the Bone Squire card. Let's take a closer look at this card now. Each BP card shows the card level, armor threshold value, and monster responses. Some BP cards, like this one, have additional effects at the bottom or the top of the card. The additional effect of Bone Squire, which activated just now as we revealed it, will be active as long as the card is face up on the track. There is another optional effect at the top on the card, and we'll get to it in a moment. Thanks to the negative AT token we placed on the monster sheet at the start of the clash, the armor threshold of this BP is 1. So, to deal a wound, we must gather at least 1 power overall. Let's sum up our power dice. Knives provide 1 red power die per hit, plus the Fleischritter adds another red die from his portrait card. That gives us 3 dice in total. For now, let's say you rolled your dice and got the following result. Every sword symbol counts as 1 power, and every chalice symbol is a potential for 1 additional power. As for the dove symbol, these are called hope. and they're triggered by a more powerful type of night token. For this tutorial, we'll ignore them. Depending on whether you succeeded a virtue test earlier during the delve phase, there might be one break token in the night pool, so your total power score is either 3 or 4. Both of these are enough to not only wound the BP, but also trigger the overcome effect at the top of the BP card. Now that we dealt a wound, it's time to resolve the card's wound effect. We must reveal the rightmost unrevealed BP card on the mob track. That's mob number 8. Lastly, since you scored a wound and killed the monster, remove the BP card from the mob track and add it to the wound stack. It just became your second wound. Every successfully dealt wound enrages the Iron Cast dead, causing them to escalate. As clashes progress, monsters become more dangerous and harder to kill, which is reflected through the escalation mechanic. We'll show you how to resolve it step by step now. First, go through the AI deck. Take the first card you find that matches the level of the wounded BP card, remove it from the deck, and set it aside. This card is out of play for the remainder of this clash. Then, take a random AI card that is one level higher than the level of the BP card you've just wounded and shuffle it into the AI deck. Yes, now that you killed one of their own, the mob will attack you more viciously. Mob BPs do not automatically escalate when you wound, but some effects can instruct you to escalate both AI and BP. If any effects are unclear, please refer to the keyword list or the mob escalation chart at the end of your Learn to Play book. You're almost done with the attack. After escalating, you have to clear all night tokens from the night pool. Don't worry, right after that, you get to leave your own tokens. This is also where you can resolve the overcome effect. Place one power token in the night pool. It means that the next attacking character will gain a +1 bonus to their total power. Next, it's time for the second ability window. You can now activate effects from your heroic arc. Fleischritter has one passion, so he can leave one opening or one break token. But since we used pushback earlier, we must now resolve the rest of this option and place a break token in the pool. Let's take a moment to talk about technique cards now. You may play technique cards anytime during your turn, unless the card itself says otherwise and includes phrases like when attacking. The exert effects can also be used anytime, but specifically during your attack. Some technique cards include the reaction icon. These can only be played during special windows of opportunity. For example, to move out of the way just as the enemy is about to knock back you. Now let's have Bianca take her turn. First, move her adjacent to a mob, then increase her passion by 1. Remember, squires do not roll dice but draw cards from the metal deck. The first card determines whether the attack hits. If you miss, you may redraw the card once for 1 heat, or if the drawn card matches a clue you have, discard the matching clue token for the precision bonus stated on the card. If Bianca still misses, discard the metal card. Normally missing would clear the night pool, but since you have the warrior mercenary with you, you may prevent it once. If you use this ability, discard the mercenary card. He's all out of steam now. However, if the first card hits, draw a second metal card to determine the power roll. The power area is your power, and the potential area tells you how many break tokens you can use. Additionally, you may also discard a matching clue token to gain bonus power from the metal card, or gain 1 heat to redraw the card once. Next, resolve the wound or fail response. Clear the night pool, then leave your own tokens in the night pool. You now know all the basics. Continue taking knight and squire turns until everyone has acted. Then proceed to the next monster round. Victory is yours once you deal 7 wounds, or you lose if all knights fall. If you have trouble identifying any of the icons on your game elements, refer to the most popular in-game symbols section on page 100 of the rulebook. Now, please pause the video and return here once you have finished the clash. Good luck! Welcome back! With the clash over, we can now move on to Clash Aftermath. We will go through it together. First, if any of your knights or squires died, resurrect them with full vigor. Because of that resurrection, they must lose half of their clues, rounding up. Now, stat reset. Reset both the statistics and stat limits of all characters to their starting values. Next, return all technique cards to your hand and discard all condition cards and condition tokens you have. If you still have any generic or knight tokens, discard them all as well. If you gained any Bane, each character can now discard 2 Bane tokens. Resource tokens would be discarded after the rest phase. Now, let's take care of equipment. Unexhaust all your gear cards. The next part will vary depending on whether you won or lost. If you won, take 1 Exhibition Clash loot card and 3 chosen loot cards from among Kingdom Gear, Upgrade Loot, and Consumable Gear loot, and add them to your loot deck. If you lost, add 3 chosen loot cards from among Kingdom Gear, Upgrade Loot, and Consumable Gear loot to your loot deck. That's it for the Clash Aftermath. Now, depending on whether you won or lost, please pause the video now and read the appropriate paragraph, then resolve the mechanical instructions. When you return, we'll walk you through the spoils phase. Alright, let's begin the spoils phase. This is the part where players share their hard-earned loot. First, take your loot deck. There should be at least 5 cards in it, since we could add 3 or 4 during Clash Aftermath, and we added 2 cards there earlier during the Delve phase. These cards are the common goods. Now, each player can take 1 chosen card from among the common goods. If players cannot agree who gets what, the majority vote wins, and if there's a tie, the party leader decides. An important thing to note here is that squires never gain loot. Instead, each squire allows the party to exchange 1 additional loot card for an appropriate gear card. Then, those cards can be exchanged either for the appropriate gear cards or gold. If you choose gold, note the gained amount on your knight sheet. Now, since this is only the tutorial, you don't need to search the game box for the cards or note anything. If there are any common goods left, like in this case, they become spare scrap. Starting from the party leader, then going clockwise, each knight takes 1 card from the spare scrap until there's no cards left. These cards can only be exchanged for the amount of gold specified on the card based on your tier. In this case, it's mob tier. With this, we've finally reached the end of this video. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. We hope this video series has been useful for you in learning how to play Kingdoms Forlorn. Now you're ready to embark on your own adventures. If you don't already have your favorite knights picked out, we recommend you read the prologues included at the start of their knight books to help you choose. If you are planning to play with less than 4 players, we recommend picking 1 knight for each player and supplementing the missing spots with squires. If you are going to play solo, read the true solo mode rules. You can always have a knight join the party or drop out, depending on how simple or complex you want your experience to be. Well, we wish you good luck in your journeys beyond the deep fog. Stay vigilant, and remember, don't spend all your gold at once. See you.